Hi guys. So the moment you've all been waiting for, I hope. So it's the last of my Six Nations videos. So I made my team of the week last week. Um, a disappointing ending for Ireland. I've tried to block it out, but good weekend of rugby for me. Came back into it. Out of retirement a little bit earlier than expected. Delighted that I did, and it's put me in the rugby mood. So without further ado, let's get into the team. So this is the team that I feel like have been the best throughout the entire Six Nations, and this magic marker of mine, it's been very reliable. But yeah, unfortunately, it's running low. I've been using it that much. That's why I stopped doing the score predictions on it, because I thought to myself, if I stop doing them on that, then I can just save the team sheet, so that whoever remains in it will remain throughout the whole Six Nations. But yeah, let me know what you think. Got a few interesting people in there commenting on rugby. Robert Piercing is one. Sorry. And thank you for your comments. We've another lad. It's one of the real digital YouTube names. So I know you are, but you commented on a few of them. I'll give you a shout out. I just have to make sure that I remember your name and I'll write it down. But you commented on my last few rugby videos, so fair play. Massive shout out. I'm a little sunburned in case you couldn't tell. I was out doing the garden today. Feel great doing it. Got cuts all over my legs, bodies in bits, but in a good way. In a good way. So yeah, this is my best team of the tournament. So guys who I feel like have really stepped up and really shown that they're good. Some might not even have been given that much of a mention in my team of the week, but I'm looking at overall performance. So some of them will be in the team every week, and rightly so. But some of these names you won't have heard in the team of the week, but they've been plugging away, and just doing the dog work that nobody really appreciates. So there's actually something I want to show you, and I'll upload it. It's looking at the stats for the Six Nations, and I want to go into that. I was thinking of doing a video just going into the stats to show you, but I think we'll do a separate video on that, and I'll do that just to show you every individual bit, because there's some players who'll have had more tackles, more turnovers. So then that could make me a little biased and make me think, oh yeah, but this lad should get in and that. And I'm like, no, no. I want to just do the team that I think is the best of the players that you rely on the most. Now, some of it you might not agree with, some of it you might. There's been some notable omissions from the team, and I'll explain why, because I'll give honourable mentions and say why I think some players missed out. I've tried to be as non-biased as possible. I couldn't justify having most of the Irish players for obvious reasons. They just haven't been good enough. But there's some players that really stood out to me and I feel like deserve a mention. So without further ado, let's get into it. So, there's our front row. Andrew Porter, I know Ireland haven't been great, but this man is outstanding. I looked at his tackle stats and I knew they were high, but he's had 52 for the whole tournament. So, that's over 10 tackles every match at Lucid prop, and he plays 70 plus minutes. So, he's getting in. I feel like that game against Wales, looking back at it now and looking at how many penalties Wales conceded at scrum time against England, I feel like Ireland were very harshly pinged. And it's funny that when we have an English ref, we tend to give away more scrum penalties more than any other nationality of ref, isn't it? But uh, English eyes are looking at something different. Andrew Porter is a machine. As I highlighted in the French game, he's the first one getting across to cover a ruck when the ball goes back and it's kicked back in to Jamie Osborne. The first man over in backfield is Andrew Porter to cover it. He's a machine. He gets through so much work. Like, he's so effective for so long. That's the thing that's really incredible about him. He's such a workhorse, but also he does it for so long, which is very hard when you're in the front row. So he gets in, joined by Dan Sheehan, of course. Dan Sheehan, 5 tries in 5 games at hooker. He's the top scorer forward in the whole competition, and justifiably so. He's Ireland's top try scorer, which tells you all you need to know. Like, we haven't done enough in the back line, as I've been saying, but thankfully we've got forwards like this man, Sheeno, to rely on. He won us that game against Italy. I mean, that's a fact. Without him, we don't win that game. Simple as. In a game where we were terrible, Dan Shane was outstanding. And then, an honourable mention to, I would say, probably the most improved player in the front row I've seen in a long time. That's Will Stewart. Got a deserved try against Wales. I feel like he's really put in a good shift. He's improved so much. I used to think before, why is he getting in ahead of Kyle Sinclair? But he's really justified his selection. He's a good player. He's solid in the set piece. Against France, England with a dominant pack, which was very impressive because that French pack is enormous. So, justifiably, he's in the team, and fair play to him. I noticed an improvement with them when Bath played Leinster, and Will Stewart had Andrew Porter's measure. He had the measure of him the whole game. Wouldn't say he had him in his pocket, but he certainly looked more dominant. And then when Thomas Tatoy came on, I was there thinking, oh jeez, Thomas Tatoy will probably dominate, but he didn't. So Will Stewart, very impressive player. Deserves to be in the team. And then a player I'm not particularly fond of necessarily, but you have to acknowledge that he is very good for England in terms of getting turnovers and just being a nuisance, and he got a try against Wales. And the second rows haven't been very impressive. Like, if Ty Byrne played as well as he did in the first two games, I would have put him in, but his consistency just hasn't been good enough. And I know how well Ty Byrne can play, so I have to put in Maro Itoje instead. I do think most likely it's going to be Tyg Byrne and Maro Itoje in the second row. Ollie Chesham has played well, but been disappointed with the second rows, I have to say. But Itoje gets turnovers, he tackles a bit high, he goes in very high with those big long limbs of his. But I got to try as being a leader for England. Lucky not to get sent off. Like, when you talk about Piero Movaka's yellow card against Scotland, that was for a deliberate act of foul play. What would you call it? Stamping on someone. And apparently England were best in the discipline stats of the overall competition. I don't think that's right at all. I think they're very ill-disciplined, but they just get away with it a bit more for some reason. Wonder what it is, but now with him in the team, they are a better side, whether he's playing well or not. Next to him, man, I have been very impressed with is Mikhail Guiar. Guiar? Yeah, that's what I would say. He's very good. I think he gives you everything you want in a second row and even back row replacement. So say if you had a 6-2 split, you would want him as your number 20 because he can cover back row, but he also plays second row very well and gets through a mountain of work, like tackle after tackle. Turnovers, he gets a good few turnovers as well. He got a try against Italy. Like, when he started, I was there thinking Manuel Miafu, he'll be the starting lock, and naturally you think, yeah, and he was, but he didn't live up to the expectation, and Guiard took his place and was much better. He was excellent, I have to say. He's really impressed me. Miafu had 2 opportunities against Wales and England. It was alright against Wales, but they weren't really tested, and then against England, very disappointed. And Guiard has taken his chance with both hands. Very impressed with him. Tackles, jackals, tries, you name it, he can do it. So yeah, it's my team so far. And then we get into the back row. Tom Curry has been immense. I was thinking maybe Ben Curry, but no, Tom has been very impressive, and he's gotten tries as well. 2 tries I think he has, and he's just a menace to the breakdown. Again, I feel like England doing that little, the fishing with the hand. I thought now you have to have 2 hands on the ball, like, so to pull the ball up. England were doing a lot of fishing and sticking the hand in, which I feel like shouldn't be rewarded, but kind of was. But they're always a threat and a menace to the breakdown. They got away with a lot of penalties, I will say. I don't think their discipline was the best, like the stats would say. I think they just got away with an awful lot. The dark arts, they say Ireland are so good at getting away with, but anyway, that's besides the point. At open side, and a man who featured in my team of the week for the first time last week, but a man who is very impressive and makes over, and this is just to put it into context, right? So I was looking at the top tacklers in the whole competition. So Sebastian Negri actually has the most, which is impressive, with 75. Okay, so that's 15 tackles a game, which is very impressive. Jack Morgan has 73. Francois Crowe has 70. So really good. Really good stats there. And I feel like he often is the unsung hero on the French side. He gets through a mountain of work. He's such an impressive player, and without him, France are half the team there, really, because he's just that good. If Francois Crowe's not in the team, then France aren't nearly as effective. They need him. They need him, and he knows it. That's 14 tackles a game, just in case you didn't know. So not far off Negri, but I also think Francois Crowe was in the winning side, the team that have won the whole thing. And without him doing all that donkey work, and as a former flanker, I can appreciate how unappreciated the role is. So that he's got to go in. Francois Crowe, the machine, is in there. As good as France have been in the back row and in the pack in general, but he often doesn't get the praise he deserves. So I'm going to give it to him now. Oh, he's a beast, and against Scotland, I think we really got to see it more than ever. So yeah, congratulations, Francois. You deserve your place. Number 8, you might say, is that Jack Conan, and it is. 3 tries, and he's only started 2 games, gotten injured in one. He's a brilliant player. He gets jackal turnovers, he makes tackles. He is always showing up for the team, and I feel like he's underappreciated, and I'm going to appreciate him again here. I think Jack Conan is a smashing player. I don't feel like we appreciate him nearly as much as we should, and he bails Ireland out a lot of the time. Didn't have a bad game against Italy, just not as good as we're used to seeing him. But he's a brilliant player, and I'm going to give him the appreciation he deserves here. He can carry. He's gotten jackal turnovers against Scotland, England, against Wales also. But that catch, the skill set that he has before he went off injured, he was one of our only good players, and it was a shame he got injured because he can really, spark the team into life. So that's my back row, and I think he could compete with anybody. He's got a lovely blend of athleticism, ball carrying, jackals, and tackles, of course. And then we get to the halfback pairing. Maxime Luku now, a shout out to him, but I feel like he only came in as a late replacement in the Ireland match and wasn't, a stalwart in the French side. So he only played against us and then Scotland. Very good against us, I have to give credit where it's due, but I feel like he hadn't played enough to kind of justify his selection. So I couldn't put him in, but player that I am going to appreciate is Ben White. Now you probably can't see that because of the dodgy marker. I had to rub out Luku's name. Ben White is a very good player, and he often does a lot of stuff that nobody appreciates, like following the ball in, running support lines. He's very good at that. And he scored against Italy, he scored against us, he scored against England. Because he just runs such excellent support lines, and he's an attacking threat. He's always looking to go quick whenever he can. He needs to shut up talking to the ref, though. I know nines are yappy little fuckers, but I think he costs himself by doing that because he actually isn't paying attention and could get even more tries, but he's always a threat, and he always gets that Scottish backline firing, so he's getting in. Tomo Ramos then beside him. I know he's a fullback normally, but I prefer him at 10. Like, I love watching him at 10. And against Italy, it showed how effective he was. I knew when Ntamack came back in, Ramos would be dropped to fullback, but personally, I think he's a far better 10. I would like to see him there, but Fabien Galtier will have his way. And he wants to play him as a fullback, but I think he's a better fly half, and he kicks brilliantly. He schooled all the home nations because he just showed them the importance of getting your kicks, Yeah, had an off day against England, but an off day for him is literally missing 2 kicks. So I think all the rest of the home nations fly halves missed that, which is very unimpressive. But yeah, another Frenchman who was kept his place throughout the whole season is Louis Bielbarré. 9 tries, like in 5 games, incroyable. He's a machine. He's so good. He scored 2 tries in every game, bar the Scotland game where he only got 1. SA. Blink and you might just miss him. He's that fast. He just goes past people so easily. Whenever the ball's kicked through, he's winning the foot race all the time. So Yeah, he's just such a good player. He's the best attacking player in the whole competition, and it shows. He destroys teams, opens them up down that left wing for France. So it's a nightmare trying to mark him. Thank God I don't play in the wing. Um, and then going into the, will we do? Yeah, shall we go? We go left to right. So at number 12, Tommaso Menoncello. So sometimes I felt like he was found wanting, but nah, he's a smashing player. 6 turnovers. I think he made 195 post contact meters. He's more than anybody else. He's a beast. Like, he's a machine. He is like having another back rower, but he also has the skill and the strength to play in the centre, and he can do it all. And against big teams like France and England, he scored tries, ripped Ireland apart. Didn't have his best game against Scotland. I felt like he was a bit quiet there. Against Wales, he was much better, but he's still such a good player. You have to put him in there. And there were other players I was going to put in, but kind of thought, nah, he is better than Ollie Lawrence. He's got a try more than him. Ollie Lawrence now has been very good and very impressive for me, but got injured in the Italy game, and then didn't play against Wales, but was very good against Ireland and France. But in Scotland, we didn't really get to see him. One or two good carries, but that's kind of why he's not on the list, because I feel like he wasn't consistent enough. And then the injury, but he would have definitely been the Lions for me. I would have thought to myself, Ollie Lawrence should go on that tour because he's been smashing. It's unfortunate for him with the Achilles injury, but c'est la vie. Tommaso Menoncello, though, if he was in any other team, and I know loads of people are saying it, but if he was, you'd say superstar, World Cup winner potentially. He's that good. And then a man who I didn't know what order to really put them in, but because I know both have played at 12, but a man I feel has been a great playmaker, and that's why I'm putting him at 13, is Tom Jordan for Scotland. I feel like he looks like such a good player. He can play 10 as well, so maybe something Scotland might want to consider if Finn Russell keeps missing kicks. But he's such a good player. Carved teams open against England. He showed his class. His passing is exceptional. Against France, he was also very good. Against Wales, excellent. 2 deserved tries. And he's gotten a few turnovers as well, which surprised me, but he can do it all. I love his range of passing. He whips the ball out really well. He's always an attacking threat. He's such a talent, and I feel like he's a line. He's definitely going to be a line this year. He should be, because he's a very good player. And I know he's not your crash ball centre, but he can carve teams open. So it depends on what you're going for. I know people keep saying, are you going for a crash ball centre? Ollie Lawrence would be that option, or Bundy Aki. It's the only two people I'll do potentially, but my only issue with that is Bundy Aki has gotten a few knocks in the Six Nations. He's getting older. Robbie Henshaw ain't what he used to be, and he's gotten a few knocks as well. Tom Jordan, and then potentially put Hugh Jones, Scottish teammate. Gary Ringrose, or maybe Max Llewellyn probably hasn't done enough yet, but I haven't been overly impressed with the likes of Henry Slade, and Ben Thomas is okay, but I wouldn't say he's Lions quality just yet. Gary Ringrose hasn't really impressed me an awful lot, I have to say. So, it all depends on how many men you bring to the tour, but I feel like Tom Jordan could be a great asset to have beside whoever you want to put at 13. There's a few options if they step up that go outside him. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they do. Tom Jordan, smashing player. And then on the right wing, Tommy Freeman. Kind of feel like, just want to say about Tommy Freeman, as good as he's been in attack, like, lots of tries have come down that right wing where he plays for England. So he's good in attack. Is there something that he's not doing? Because Ben Thomas scored 2 tries as well, and he was playing centre, which is where Tommy Freeman was playing against Wales. So I'm kind of thinking he got a try again, so fair play to him. 5 tries in 5 games, but is he a liability in defence? Because just thinking back, and like, I know Alex Mitchell was the one that missed the tackle for Ireland's first try against England on James Lowe, but where was Tommy Freeman? is he too eager to get the ball back and attack? Um, does he bite in too much? Like, all of our tries came down the right hand side. Yeah, well, one through the middle. Ty Burns was through the middle, but for the first one for Gibson Park, that was down the right wing. So was Bundy Aki's. Um, Dan Sheehan's was down that side as well. All of ours were down England's right, Ireland's left. So you're kind of thinking, is he a weakness? Louis B. Elbury obviously got 2 tries against England and would have gotten a hat trick were it not for that brilliant cover tackle by Ollie Slightholme. So it begs the question. And then all 3 of Scotland's tries were down on that right wing as well. Duan van der Merwe, Hugh Jones and Ben White, they carved them open down that side. So you have to ask, would Tommy Freeman be a liability in defence? He's got the physicality for the front up tackles, but is he found wanting? Is he a bit too slow? Who knows? But now he scored 5 tries and been an attacking threat, and that's what you want in your winger. So, but maybe he needs to brush up on defence. Just a thought. Blair Kinghorn at fullback, because I was thinking of the 2 players, and I've given the other player a mention, Blair Murray, but I really wanted to give it to Blair Murray, but Blair Kinghorn is just such a smashing player on his day, and if Scotland are going to play well, they need him to perform, and he does most games, to be fair. He's a very good attacking threat, very fast, good in the air, can kick off the tee as well, and I think he's such an important player to Scotland, so he has to go in there. Great player, very impressed with him. So that's my 15, and then we get into the subs. That's Giacomo Nicotera as the replacement hooker. So an area where I've been very impressed with Italy is the front row. Nicotera now was a bit stupid, getting sent off, getting a red card as it was in the end against Ireland for a stupid cheap shot. Like, you really should have thought better about that. I feel like Italy had a few brain farts on that occasion, a few stupid decisions. But Nicotera and Danilo Fischetti, because they were just very powerful in the scrum, in the front row I feel like Italy were very good. Much improved, and it was an area of strength for them. Back row was a little bit disappointing. Michele Lamaro, another brain fart from him. Obviously Negri making a lot of tackles, but just felt like sometimes he's not as good as he was, but still getting himself about. So fair play. Would like to have seen Manuel Zuliani. But no, 2 players who deserve it. Simone Ferrari, vroom vroom, Marco Riccioni. Both good players too, but not consistent. Fischetti gets turnovers, he wins scrums. He's a really good player. He's a player I like watching, and so is Nicotera. They get jackal turnovers, they're physical. I like the way they play, so they're making my replacement bench for the front row. Sander Fagerson. I just see now. Yeah, there he is. The mark is starting to run out there at that point, as you can tell. But Sander Fagerson, like Andrew Porter, not as good as Andrew Porter, of course, but he can last you the big minutes. He can play 70 minutes himself, and I don't know if that's just because they don't have any faith in Will Hurd or what the crack is, but Fagerson goes the big minutes week in, week out, and he's reliable. He gets through a lot of work too for a front rower, so he'd be appreciated for sure. And I think Will Stewart and Xander Fagerson probably, well, definitely you'd say on merit, because they've done so well in the Six Nations, they'd probably start at tight head. But you're going to bring Ty Furlong, you've got to, and it was great to see him back. Really good. And hopefully he can stay fit, touch wood, because they'll need him. Yeah, like this, it's going to be a tricky tour in Australia. I'm just going to call it. I think Australia might win it. Just going to say it. We'll talk about that a bit more when I do my Lions team, but I think they could win it for sure. But going to my 19 and my replacement, I've gone with a traditional 5-3 split, just FYI. Paul Boudon at 19, because I feel like he really deserves a mention. He can play second row. He normally plays in the back row as France don't really do a blind side, open side. They just give you numbers and you play as a flanker, but he's the big physical presence. He's like your hybrid Peter Steph Dutoy, like a fella who can play second row or 6, but has a great engine on him and just leads that physicality battle. And Paul Boudon is that physical presence you need. Francois Crowe gets through all the donkey work and puts in a massive shift. Boudon carries, makes big hits, and dominates lads in collisions. Number 20. Now, the reason why I've gone with this lad is because I feel like, as bad as Wales have been, he's been phenomenal. That's Jack Morgan. Jack Morgan, 73 tackles. The leader of Wales. He always comes off the pitch covered in blood, which I love to see. Not that I'm a sadistic bastard, but you saw my legs if you watch that short video I posted of all the scrapes on my legs. That's what you want your back row to look like coming off the pitch, covered in blood, because they're putting themselves about all game. That's exactly what you should be doing as a back rower, and Jack Morgan epitomises that. He just makes so many tackles. I know you could say, well, why is Negri not in then? If that's all you're basing on, well, it's not, because as good as Negri has been in the tackles, Jack Morgan can carry, he can get over the ball and make turnovers a lot more, which he did against Scotland very effectively. Now, it's a shame that they got hammered by England and absolutely trashed, but Jack Morgan's a real leader for me, and I think future Lions captain for sure. Just a shame about how poor Wales have been. Ben Earl doesn't get in because he only averages about 7 tackles a game, whereas Jack Morgan's nearly averaging 15. Ben Morgan, there is a Ben Morgan, but nah, that's not what we're talking about. Jack Morgan's tackle success is very good as well, which I'm going to show you all the stats. But Ben Earl has missed some of the most tackles as well. Like, he's missed about 10 tackles, so he's on the highest missed tackles percentage. As a back rower, you cannot be doing that. He carries very well, which is probably why they put him number 8. But I feel like to get into the back row in this team, you've got to make your tackles, and like all the lads I've mentioned so far, they all have a very good tackle completion rate. So I thought to myself, Ben Earl probably misses the most because he's making the most, but he's not making the most. So that's the worrying thing. It's like you should be making the small amount that you do have to make, weapon and attack. But he goes down huffing and puffing a lot, which I don't see with the other guys. The England back row have kind of been bulkier and beefier, and they go down a lot more than other back rows, but they're more physical. So I guess that's kind of why, catching their breath. Whereas I feel like with Jack Morgan and Jack Conan, like the Irish and Welsh back rows are fitter, they can last you longer, but they're not as physical. But they get through a mountain of work. The England boys go for the physicality a bit more. Physicality. They don't have that same engine, but they're very physical. And that's probably why England have gone with 3 back rowers. So if you notice what they've been doing, they actually put Ted Hale, Cunningham South, and who else I think it was Ben Curry they put on the bench, and then they'd start Tom Curry, Tom Willis, and they also started Ben Earl, Tom Curry, and Tom Willis, and then they'd have Ted Hill, Chandler Cunningham South, and Ben Curry. So that's 3 back row replacement forwards, and it's kind of a weird one. You think if you're going to do a 6-2 split, surely you go with a second rower, and they keep both second rows on, because if I was going with a 6-2 split, I would want to give both my second rows a breather, give the tight 5 a break in general. But obviously they expect such a mountain of work from their back row that they take them off and give them a breather. So I kind of get where they're coming from there. But Jack Morgan just puts in such a good shift. He's got to get in there. Gibson Park at replacement scrum half. I mean, it hasn't been his best tournament, but he's still such a smashing player, and I feel like it's been cruel on him not getting into some of the teams of the week, but he's still probably the best scrum half after Dupont. He makes tackles, he runs great support lines, he's always where he needs to be. And it's not his fault that Ireland haven't given him the platform to attack off, that'd be very harsh not to have him in the team, so he's getting in. We love you, Jamie. I was drinking water, I didn't turn it into Coke, by the way, I'm not Jesus. I changed it out when I paused the video. I should have pretended I did a magic trick. But yeah, Gibson Park, such a smashing player, and as he say, poor games for Ireland in general against Wales, France and Italy. Not his fault, he pushed it a little bit against Italy and had a few handling errors, but he's a brilliant player, and it'd be cruel not to give him a mention. But Ben White, I feel like, just needs that appreciation because he has been so good at getting that Scottish backline firing. It's just a shame Scotland are so inconsistent, but he deserves that mention. The man that has really impressed me, if I go down here, is Finn Smith. I feel like he's been the best of the home nations fly halves by a mile. When he came on against France and got a start, he was absolutely brilliant. When he had to take any kicks, he's been great off the tee, physical in defence. Marcus Smith's been poor off the tee. Finn Smith, very reliable, so I feel like he's schooled people in how to be a fly half. And he started against France, so second game of the tournament, and he came on, had a great game. Started the game and crossfield kick for Tommy Freeman, try. He's solid in defence, makes really good tackles, so he's the kind of guy I'd want in my team as a fly half, because not many fly halves like to defend, let me tell you, but this man does, and he's good at it. Got boshed once, I think, but look, it happens to us all. I really want to put this man in as my replacement, utility back, but he's getting a mention. Blair Murray, what an exciting player to watch. Definitely a future Lion as well. This Lion series, I think he should go. He's incredible. As bad as Wales have been, Jack Morgan and Blair Murray have been outstanding. You know, Blair Murray he's gone. Beats defenders for fun. He's powerful. He's got a great step, great speed. I feel like that disallowed try for Talupe Faletau and, you know, for hurdling the players. And then when the ball came off his head and Thomas Williams was adjudged to have impeded Tom Curry, I feel like Tom Curry knocked the ball on, then was tackled by Thomas Williams, but the ball had already gone, so he didn't affect the play. And then Blair Murray got the try. That should have stood. But look, it is what it is, and Wales got hammered in the end. But yeah, guys, that's my ultimate team, just to show you there. And I feel like everybody in that really deserves their spot. You might say no Ben Earl or Gregory Aldrete, but I feel like Jack Coleman stepped up big time, and Jack Morgan picking the Jacks today, but the Jack in the Box. Feel like those players, given how their teams performed, were a lot more valuable. So let's say France probably would have won without Gregory Aldrete, but would Ireland have been as good without Jack Coleman? I don't think so. And if Jack Morgan wasn't in that Welsh team, God knows how much they would have been beaten by. So there we are. That's my team of the Six Nations. And let me know your thoughts, guys. And I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.